We're J and J. He's Justin.
That's Jared.
We are two leashed dads that get together to discuss our everyday lives while chained to our responsibilities, like approaching our kids about bullying.
Oh my god, that's deep.
It's going to be a thick episode. Not a lot of laughter in this one.
No, I think the only laughter is probably going to come at the end, or maybe with the weekly updates here, poking some fun. No, I think it's going to be a little heavier of an episode as well, just because this, again, it's another serious topic. Bullying. It's never a good thing, and we know it happens in life. You're probably going to see a lot of it. You probably see or hear a lot of it at school, which is never something you want, especially when it comes to your kid. Like, you would never think it's going to happen to your kid or your kid is going to do it. That's even, I think, a bigger problem is when all of a sudden you find out your kid is the one doing the bullying. That, I think, could be a different... I don't know how you're going to handle it. But we'll certainly dive into that here. But first, let's... it's been a while. We have come back after taking a week off due to Super Bowl. Super Bowl started, fairly early, but it runs late, especially when you watch the end of the game and...
Yep.
Or some of us watch the end of the game and watch the ceremony or presenting the Lombardi Trophy and whatnot, or going through the interviews. But yeah, baby, we're back. We're ready. And, I watched the Super Bowl last weekend. My wife was attempting to help co-sign for a friend for a new vehicle. That kind of went down the drain. He got denied.
Oh, no.
Unfortunately. Well, long story short, not good credit. He destroyed his credit a while back, but he's working on trying to repair it, so we'll see how that goes down. But needless to say, she couldn't even co-sign for him because of how bad his credit was. I've been very, very lucky the past few weeks at work. We do a spinning of the wheel, and on the wheel, we have like this thing called early out. And the past couple times, it's like winning the lottery for me. I've gotten 20 minutes early out.
What?
A couple times that we've spun the wheel and I've gotten to go. It's really funny how one of my coworkers spun the wheel first, missed it. I was second to spin and I got it. And my other coworker's like, I am so pissed right now. But on top of the 20 minutes early out, on the top of the 20 minutes early out, I got 10 minutes early out. So I got a total of 30 minutes out on a Friday. Felt amazing.
Wow.
And then on top of that, though, I also actually had a little meeting with a guy for insurance, for like long-term coverage / life insurance. So if anything, or like long-term care, so if anything were to happen to me where I get put into or need to go into a like nursing home or have somebody come in and take care of me, it would be covered through that. And I did actually sign up for it, so I'm going to be spending about, I think it's a premium of like $29.44 a month. Not too bad. It is on the low side of things, but that's okay because that's just what fits in my budget, hopefully.
Yeah.
Kind of speed through it. That was kind of that week. Last week. This weekend that we've led up to, work was work. Monday through Friday was whatever. Yesterday, I ended up going... Sorry if I talk a little fast. I feel like I'm on Red Bull or something, but I had a couple energy drinks earlier today.
Well, that'll explain it.
Yeah, we'll see.
You're on a whole other level, man.
I feel like it. Yesterday, with the weather being as nice as it was, we ended up doing something that I would never thought we were going to do or be able to do. But we have a church near us. And once it starts becoming nicer weather, they do this thing where they do like a horse carriage ride, and they actually go around our block or like our street, down our street every time, which is really cool. And when they do this, the greatest thing, we saw it, the kids saw it, and they've seen it for years. Like, they've been doing this trail for years. But this year, we found out, it's a free thing to do. It's a free ride. So we went to the church because we had another plan. We're gonna go paint some pottery. We ended up going to the church first. Did the wagon ride. Then we let the kids play in the gym because we were sitting in the gym, waited in the gym, let them play, do whatever before the wagon ride, which is great. The wagon ride, again, free, as it's a church event. But then they also had like a chili cook-off. Oh my God, it made me excited. A chili freaking cook-off. 9 different chilies to try. Oh, I don't know which one necessarily won because we didn't stay for it. But there was one that was like a buffalo chicken chili.
Oh, boy.
Oh, that was good. I mean, granted, they were all good, delicious. But that one stuck out the most. It was so great. But then we went down to Oshkosh for like 3 hours and did some painting. We did pottery, like little clay moldings or pottery molding.
Oh, where is that? Molding.
It's called the Fire Escape or Fire Escape. It's off of, I think it was like Main Street or something like that in Oshkosh. But we do have a place called the Fire here in Appleton, which seems very similar, but it's not. But definitely worth the ride down to Oshkosh for that. Maybe even up if you ever want to. And if you're looking for a date night or some sort of day out with your significant other, go do it. I think they've got some great molds. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Just a great time to get away, do something different with the family or with your significant other if you're trying to find something to do. I think I want to take Sam there just by ourselves next time. Maybe pawn the kids off on grandparents and whatnot. But then the reason I had 2 energy drinks today, first time in a long time, is my eldest son, Kane. He had a wrestling tournament this morning.
Oh, cool. Where?
So it was in Oconto Falls.
Okay. All right.
So we ended up, we had to get up. Let's see here. I had a couple alarms go off this morning at 5:30, 5:50, and I think I had one set for like 6:15 or something like that. But we had to get up and we had to go drop the 2 younger boys off at my parents or their grandparents. They would watch them for the time because it was a long time. But we had to be there between like 7:30 and 8:30 for weigh-in and registration check-in things. Okay. But his tournament, he was the first session, so he went from basically like 8:30 or 9 o'clock to practically 12:30, and then on top of that, we had the awards. He took 3rd place out of his bracket, which isn't bad. He got a bronze medal for it.
No, that's pretty good.
So he, very excited. He did very well. For only being in it for his first year. Like, this is his first time wrestling and whatnot, so learning the basics and fundamentals. So that tournament is, like, scary but amazing all at the same time because of what you can see. I mean, they have, like, 13 different mats going on, or different matches going on at the time. So if you look around, you can see all these different kids wrestling and just different levels. I would definitely say there are definitely experts in the beginning, and or beginners brackets, which is just terrible. They're sandbagging their own. Like, these parents are signing these kids up and sandbagging the tournament because how much experience they have. Dumbest thing ever. I think in a sense that's kind of dumb. Like. Personally, I think that's a parent trying to bully other families and whatnot, and just ruin the experience for everybody. But overall, not too bad. And of course, we went over to my aunt-in-law's house for dinner after everything. So it was a fun time. But that's kind of my 2 weeks in a nutshell. Jared, how was your weeks?
They were pretty uneventful. Besides having a little procedure that I got done on myself, I needed to take at least a week off of just extracurricular activities and not being mobile for the first couple days. Men who've been there know what I'm talking about. But
Low
it's
mobility.
I'm back to normal. Yeah, it took probably like six on day six. I was back to normal. I was lifting. I was going upstairs normally. So
Yeah.
6 days recovery time. I thought was
Damn.
not bad. But
No,
um,
not bad at all.
yeah,
Hope-
so
Hopefully those peas helped.
yeah. Well, I used ice pack that I used for my back
Yeah, fair enough.
because
Same concept
I
in the end.
I didn't feel like eating the peas after they were thawed out. So yeah, and then I took 2 days off just to one day was a procedure, and then the next day was a Friday, so I took that off of work and just kind of laid low, and it was
Yep.
much needed to just reset. It was nice, and then yeah, I was sleeping and vegging out and watching a bunch of TV. So uh, we had a mysterious thing happen to our Odyssey, our Honda Odyssey. One day, the van was sitting in the driveway, and I don't know if because Natalie drove it to drop Eleanor off at school, and
Mhm.
then she came back, and it sat in the driveway, and then she went to go pick her up from school, and she noticed these cracks in the mirror, in the side mirror, and a little hole, like right at the base of the mirror with the cracks in it.
Huh.
And we're looking around, and I'm looking everywhere in the like concrete for maybe a crow dropped something really heavy or whatever
Right.
from above, or a rock fell or whatever. Nothing. I couldn't find anything. I even looked inside the mirror. Nothing. So
No signs or
I
anything?
no.
Wow.
So I don't know. It's possible that a rock got kicked up while she was driving and she just didn't notice. I don't know.
I don't know how
It's a
often you
freaking
notice those
mystery.
either. If something while you're driving and you hear a noise like a clink and you go, "Oh, it's from my undercarriage," right? So you
Yeah,
don't necessarily think it's my side view mirror.
right. But it literally looked like someone took a rock and just chucked it at the van,
Huh.
and then so thankfully it's only like $100 or so. The garage I
Right.
go, or the dealership I go to, their service staff is phenomenal. I love them.
Where do you go?
There's Sheboygan Van Horn Hyundai. It's on the
Okay.
way south side.
Okay.
But yeah, their service staff is top notch. So
Nice.
yeah, so I got to get that fixed. And then yesterday was my my maternal grandmother, 75th birthday party. She just turned 75. It's
Happy
kind of
belated birthday.
yeah, kind of bittersweet. She's my last grandma, unfortunately. My dad's
You
mother
still have
passed.
grandparents.
Yeah, I think it was like she was over 90. I know that. So it was opposite ends of the spectrum, like really 90 versus 75.
Uh-huh.
So
I know that feeling.
yeah.
No, actually, I don't know that feeling. I think all my grandparents are now deceased. The most recent one was last September, basically. I mean, this isn't necessarily like any of my family members. Well, I did have another passing recently too. Unknown, I think still, but I don't know if they necessarily said it was natural causes. But they found her in her apartment on the bottom of the stairs. Never a fun thing.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's my like eldest great aunt essentially.
Oh okay.
But then we had I just found out actually this weekend that one of my friends who I've known for years through like my parents and everything, his grandma had passed away just recently. So bear of bad news, more deaths in the family. Never a fun thing, but or
No.
more deaths out of like people I know. So things are just not. It's not been like the good past few months, I guess here. But yeah, I mean, you live with them, and hopefully
Yeah.
everything goes well. But she was like 90 some years old. She actually, from what I know, she had an emergency type of transplant going on. I think it was like a
Oh.
liver transplant or something, but she didn't make it through the surgery. Like she died on the table, which
Yeah.
never a fun thing to know or go through. But again, that's kind of one of the risks, I guess, is you take when you get older and whatnot. So condolences out to their family. It's never fun. It's more morbid news. But I'd say it's kind of relatable. So
Yeah, and I know a lot of doctors won't even do it if they're over a certain age. Like it
yeah,
becomes
they
too
might not do it
risky.
unless it's like an emergency kind of thing, like this one
Yeah.
was. Where if it wasn't an emergency, they probably would have just said, "How long can you really make it go through?" I don't necessarily know. I think it's all based on health too. Like,
Yeah. Condition. Yep.
yeah. So even the person at that time too would be like, "Okay, well maybe it's not worth the surgery or whatnot." But if it's an emergency, you're probably going to do it for the quality of life at that point, or try to do
Yeah.
the quality of life. So, yeah, I mean, that's our weekends here. We were supposed to, unfortunately, our reoccurring guest, Shantae, is not able to join us. She had an emergency family thing going on that she needed to attend and mediate. So hopefully everything goes well there with her. But it is what it is, and the show must go on, right? So, again, hopefully, Shantae is going well, everything goes well on your end. We wish you the best of luck, and, obviously we want to have more guests out, kind of a last-minute thing that happened, so, yeah. So, as mentioned before, I wanted to kind of revisit the wrestling segment where we have parents and kids sandbagging wrestling tournaments or just wrestling or just sandbagging tournaments, right? You're more advanced than what you should be, or like the level you're going into, and you sandbag it and basically try to take first. I almost kind of I do consider that bullying because you're taking advantage of something, and it's, you're taking advantage or doing something harmful to other people, in a
Right.
sense. And to me, in my opinion, I would consider that bullying because it's not fair. Or you're basically treating somebody else poorly, in the sense where they're not going to be able to get the full experience. So maybe a different type of bullying, but believe it or not, there are different types out there. So, let's talk more about it, or different things that are going on within the world, within schools or whatnot, because bullying, guys, is really a huge thing, and sometimes we brush it away or brush it off, like under the rug or whatever. It needs to be addressed, and hopefully tonight we can address it and bring out some concerns about bullying and how maybe we would address it when it happens. So I kind of wanted to start a little bit here. Jared, I don't say you've been bullied in the past or anything like that. I don't know. Remember, I guess we've only known each other since college, still quite some time, but I don't know what your childhood was like, but now we can see that bullying during our time has probably been a lot different and has
Oh, yeah.
evolved differently, especially when we were probably younger. We didn't have internet all day, every day. You had to be either at home dialing up or at school using the computers. But at that time, I don't think we were allowed to use the internet unless we were at like a high school level or like a middle school level. In grade school, you only had like computer class once a week, and you weren't even using the internet. You were using it for like a typing class.
Right.
But bullying at probably our time was more face-to-face, where you didn't have social media to hide behind or internet sites to hide behind, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So it's definitely evolving, and it's definitely out there, and we need to be mindful of where it can be coming from or where it's happening. Let's talk about the face-to-face first. How often do you see it happening face-to-face now?
Well, it's so hard. I mean, for us to actually visualize it as parents, it's kind of rare because you're not with your kid when they're at school, so you don't really know for sure if what's going on. But as far as us seeing it, I don't see it a lot. But I do hear news stories and other things where cyberbullying is still really huge. But as far as face to face, it's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly where that happens and when it happens and to what extent, unless you're actually there. Like maybe you're at the wrestling event and there was some bullying going on. Then you can see that. Then you can address, like, because the parents of the kid bullying were probably there. So if you saw something, you probably approach those parents. But if it's at school, you're kind of SOL.
Yeah.
Especially when, I was bullied. So just transition a little bit back to internet. I think social media became really big when we were in high school. I don't think it was an issue
Middle school,
until high school. Now, I was never bullied on the internet, knock on wood. I was never bullied on social media. But I was bullied face to face quite often, and via gossip and rumors and all that jazz. So it was a bit challenging off and on. There were definitely more periods in my life where it was present, and other times when it was not. So, but yeah, as far as, I mean, have you ever seen face-to-face bully or witnessed or been a part of?
I guess I've been a victim of it a little bit here and there. Not so much in like grade school per se. I think grade school there may be some of it in grade school, but at the same time, as I'm thinking to myself right now, from a parent side of things, would I consider parents verbally abusing their children as bullying? No. It's, it's like parental abuse. And the reason I say that, I think it's maybe it's the same thing in the long run, but we're going to call it something different.
Okay.
Because your parent basically yelling at your child and abusing them in a sense of verbal or physical, any type. I consider bullying more of a peer-to-peer thing in definition. But I think in the long run, bullying is still bullying. You're picking on somebody, you're mistreating them. You're doing harm to them in a way. So, verbally abusing somebody, even if you're like the adult or the parent of them, I think that can still be considered. But again, keep in mind, I'm not going to say that it's... No, I did already call it bullying, but you're not going to call it that because most people have that preconceived notion that bullying is just between peers, because that's more or less what it really is. I think back in high school, now that I think about it, like my freshman year or something like that, one of my neighbors that I've known since like fourth grade, right? We were friends in fourth grade. We hung out a lot outside of school, and things of that nature. But then high school rolls around, or we start developing different, or meeting different friends, becoming parts of different groups. But believe it or not, I had a guy kind of pick on me, harass me a little bit. Started, basically being a dick to only be, maybe to think he was better than me and prove it to friends. So like he called me babyface, right? Granted we were all freshmen, and some people grow facial hair faster than others.
Yeah.
My freshman year, I didn't grow facial hair. But that, I didn't let that bother me. Truthfully, like, cool. I have no facial hair. Doesn't mean anything. I prefer not to, Sometimes I prefer not to have the facial hair, just because it does get going through that raggedy phase or rugged phase
Raggedy.
is very raggedy. No, rugged. Having the hair kind of grow in and everything, scruffy looking phase, is sometimes irritating. Like all of a sudden I get very itchy and I'm sitting here just scratching away all the time. I could deal without. But then there are times where I go, I would love to have it, but my wife doesn't like the facial hair.
Oh, no, that's too bad.
Like I get too prickly, and she'll be like, "Your hairs are pricking my nose. It's time to shave." Or we have something going on, like pictures, and the hair is not like a decent length, so it looks very scruffy, and it before pictures it needs to go. Otherwise, it's just gonna look awful. But yeah, so high school, I did have a bully, but then he also tried to make up for it outside of school. So he knew what he was doing was intended to inflict harm. But then he tried to act like he never did anything wrong. So kind of trying to throw responsibility elsewhere, I guess, in that regards. But very uncool, and I guess I've had it recently too where, I almost want to kind of say there are, believe it or not, you can have internal bullying, like between family members.
Yeah.
I think it's happened actually, and this is really bad. Like I've had it with my kids.
Oh no.
Not like my kids picking on each other, but like their cousins picking on them.
Oh yeah.
Because of the household being so chaotic. That is a big problem. When you have a chaotic household, very little ruling or structure, and all of a sudden, kids are picking on other kids, and it kind of carries over. So it's very it's very, very bad. I've had an instance where we've gotten a phone call from our school, like our elementary school, saying that our eldest was picking on a kid. They're harming a kid.
All right. Well, what was your first step after that?
Oh God.
And to what extent?
I mean, granted,
what extent was he bullying somebody else?
So it was outside at recess. Kind of a background here. Outside at recess, the kid was kind of just minding their own business, and then he decided to start throwing a football at the fence that they were standing next to or next by, and he kept going.
Okay.
So I don't remember what prompted it to happen or why he did it, but at that time it was bullying and harassment, because now you're picking on somebody that didn't do anything to you at all. Or things like that. So, I think a little harder about it too. And I've noticed that there has been some bullying with even to my child, or just some, maybe not bullying, but just some different or some not so pleasant incidents, where there has been fights. But what we did. Honestly, we get the call from the school saying this is what happened, and then we do address it. We don't just sweep it under the rug and be like, okay, well, school handled it. You can't do that, folks. You have to, as a parent, you should be addressing it. You get a phone call from the school, they're giving you a heads up as what's going on. They're giving you they're trying to give you the story. The kind of full story. I'm sure they're giving you the story from the victim. They're giving you the story from your child or whatever. They are going to try to give you the full story that they can. So, but point being, we addressed it right away, and then we did reprimand. So our reprimanding, if I recall, was basically taking, I think, video games or electronics away for a week.
Okay.
So it's something he enjoys, right? When he's not doing anything, you take something away that they enjoy. So, grounded him for a week from video games and whatnot. And then on top of that, we also had him write an apology letter.
Good.
And basically, I think it was at that point too. If you don't write the apology letter by such and such time, basically, I think he had a week to write it. So if he didn't have it turned in, he wouldn't get his electronics back for like another week.
Good for you.
So it's like a huge incentive. But he ended up writing the apology letter because that, it was unnecessary behavior. And because who knows what could have happened. Granted, you're also opening the possibility of people being able to file suit or a lawsuit against you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I think that's kind of an extreme, but that's some of the face-to-face bullying that happens, and that's a repercussion of what can happen, especially on school grounds too. And depending on the severity, I've had it before. I've actually had it with my nieces too, where they've things happen and they go out of control, kind of get into unnecessary brawls in a sense. And they've actually been on. They've actually gone through some charges before, like potential lawsuits. But that was before we had taken them in. So I mean, that was like before like last like the beginning of this school year. But they also were kind of on track to do that again here with us. But yeah, needless to say, I guess bowling has been close to home already, and it's just not fun. But what we've done is honestly taken control of it, or kind of grabbed it by the horns and started just making sure that the message is clear and this is what's going to happen. Now, I think sometimes there's going to be some more severe measures. I don't know what that would all entitle at this time. But when we get there, we get there.
Well,
certainly.
Hopefully not. You don't get there, but
yeah, hopefully we don't have to. But if it happens ever again, we would definitely take more severe measures. But I mean, that's face to face. Internet, social media, that's harder, right? Because that's going to happen where you have something, or somebody's going to post something online, and they could tag you in it. Or it could be directed at you, but they don't necessarily tag you, so it's like a indirect mention. But it's even worse because it's very easy to try to hide. Like somebody will post it, people will see it, and then the person will delete it.
Right.
So, to me, doing it via social media or a place you can hide behind is very cowardly, but it's opening up a gate to be more of a bully behind, or a cyber bully. And granted, it doesn't have to be in school, guys. This one definitely does not have to be in school or out in public. This can happen anywhere. As much as I'm a Twitch streamer, I haven't recently, but you do hear things like streamers getting bullied or harassed by
I've heard
people.
that.
Kind of like a hate, like they come in and hate you for no reason. It's a huge thing. It's a big deal. And I would say it's harder to combat because of being able to hide behind a screen. And I'm not even going to say like Twitch or streamers or anything like that, but if you're playing a video game with friends and you're using comms, like voice comms, you could still bully behind that too. Now, it's not as fun because all of a sudden you'll see your friend at school maybe the next day and something could be addressed, or you might lose your friend in that regards. But, guys, cyberbullying, I would say it's definitely not okay. Obviously, bullying is not okay. But what are your thoughts, Jared? Talk to me about cyberbullying.
As a parent, it scares the hell out of me to think that there are the kids out there who dedicate part of their life to catfishing, to creating these fake profiles just to be a bully and create issues. And sometimes they go uncaught, and there have been cases where they have been caught. Thank God. It's a nightmare. I hope my kids never ever experience or do cyberbullying in their life, because I don't have much advice as a parent to combat those types of situations, since I've never went through it myself. But it's kind of, if I were to imagine it now, I would probably just say it's time to put away the social media for a while and just live a life without without that side. It might be hard. It will be hard. But if that's where the source is coming from, you need to just cut it out of your life. Unless it.
I mean,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think there are some ways to combat it. Just thinking about it, I mean, if you're one that does look at a lot of like Facebook, for example, and you scroll through like the main page or whatever, your feed, and you see that they're popping up and it says something different, you can block
and
it.
become private.
If I recall, you can't block it. It's a setting, but it's not going to go away because somebody else is going to see it. Like, if you have a family member or a friend that sees it, they're going to tell you, which at that point, it's still bullying. That doesn't change the factor. Yes, you can prevent it from showing up and having to, maybe make a choice that you're going to regret later on, or maybe not, by trying to be defensive and retaliate in such a way. But I think, Jared, you bring up a good point. Just kind of, I don't want to say ignore it, but remove a source from your life for the time being until you can either address it appropriately or maybe even get some help to remove that, remove the cyberbullying from you. Because most times, if I recall, most times cyberbullying or just bullying in general is coming from somebody you actually know. More than and that's a scary part. So if you know the person, you're gonna want to confront them. And by what I mean by know, guys, or somebody is somebody you're like either friends
or a friend
with,
of a friend, or
like a family member,
some pissed off cousin or something.
So that's the worst part, because it's not going to be a stranger because they don't necessarily know you. Yeah, they can. Yes, you can still see that happen. Like you could have a stranger to pick on you and think of that nature. But most often, the bullying that is happening is because it's somebody you know, and it's not fun. Again, I don't think it's necessarily fun. Like I said, in high school, I had somebody do it to me. They were doing it, I think, to make themselves look better in front of other people. And I think that's one thing why people do it, is it makes them, one, feel good about themselves, but two, it makes them feel bigger around other people too. But there are definitely some other factors, I'm sure. I don't necessarily know, and I don't want to speak on it. I know there's science out there as to why people do it, but tonight I don't have any of those types of resources. Just from personal experience, though, I feel like, from what I've seen, it's because it makes them look better in front of other people, or the friends they're trying to be. Makes them feel good. It's an unhealthy outlet, is really what it is, for something that's going around their lives. Yeah, or in their lives.
You had brought up lawsuits as a possible resource, but honestly, I think that's the last resource possibility you want to go down as a parent when you are in a situation. What other resources are there for kids who are bullied?
See, that's a great question you bring up. Some of the resources.
Yes.
You've got school counselors. Guys, don't be afraid to use your counselor. They're there for you for that reason. They can even bring in like the school liaison officer to maybe try to address that. Your staff or the faculty is meant to be a resource for you. Outside of school, for those who are actually, because as much as the school is there to help you out, there are still other resources. There are like grief counselors or ways to let out those issues as well, like therapists. They can help you, so you can talk about it, so you're not necessarily emotionally harmed by it anymore, or they allow you to provide the healthier option of an outlet rather than doing something
Right.
you will regret later on. Remember, guys, I'm going to bring this up because this is something I learned in high school. The quality of the decisions you make today affect the quality of your life
Nice.
tomorrow.
Very well said.
That was something I learned in my health class. And again, if you're getting picked on, if you're getting bullied, and you're not taking the necessary resources, for example, if you're not going to your parents are going to be your number one resource, because they're going to be the ones that want to help
Yes.
you. So, what I mean that is, they're going to do what they can. So that may be helping you address it to the school. That may be helping you sign up for a counselor outside of the school. That may be using them as an outlet. That may be, I can't speak on this, but this might be a good way to approach it as well, where you and your parents talk with the parents or parent and the kid that is doing it. So come to a way to resolve it, because as Jared mentioned before, I did say lawsuits for things that are happening. That is like almost kind of an extreme measure of
Right.
of a
That's
resource or
last
resolution,
case.
because I would say that's the worst case scenario to use, because I mean you're taking time to go through court and other things of that nature. Now, I don't know. I mean, and not to mention, you are punishing the kid, but at that point, depending on how old you are, you're more or less punishing the parents. Because the parents are going to be the one paying for the damage, or like the harm that's been caused. Because you're not going to necessarily take a 14-year-old or a 12-year-old to court for bullying in a sense. Yes, it's going to be their way, but there's going to be other ways to do it too. Because even the person doing the bullying, there's a reason they do it. And like we said before, it's probably because it makes them feel better about themselves, building up that I'll call it fake confidence, because now you're just using something to pick on somebody. So, I mean, if you're getting confidence from that, well, somebody's going to shatter your dreams eventually as well. But I mean, those are some resources. I can't speak of how many good resources there really are, but you've got the student or the school faculty, you've got your parents, you've got counselors out there outside of school. Yeah, again, worst comes to worst, you've got the lawsuits or the courts to help out, but it's truly a last resort, and more or less something you're going to do to make sure you guys get something back out of it.
Right.
For being harmed. Physically, emotionally, whatever it may be. So, last resort, in a sense there. So use your resources to get you the help that you need if you are being bullied. Yes, this also goes for people that are doing the bullying as well.
Get help.
Instead of bullying, guys,
Yes.
get help. And I'm not trying to sound mean when I say it. I'm trying to be sincere about it. If you realize you are the one doing it because it's making you feel good, you have an unhealthy outlet. And I'm not going to apologize for trying to be straightforward about that. It is true. It's a very unhealthy outlet because you are causing harm to other people, and you're also I think you're causing more harm to yourself, because you're not doing you're providing a fake or a false confidence. Because believe it or not, let's say it this way, okay? If I'm being picked on or bullied and you cross a line, and I've tried every other thing where I tell you to stop. I go to I go to the faculty or something else. What's my last thing?
Yep.
I'm going to confront you if you keep doing it. I'm going to put you in your place. And that, I'm telling my kids this too. If they get picked on and they try to tell a teacher, they ask you to stop, they tell a teacher, but you still do it? Nope. They gave you clear warning to stop. And if I get a call from the school saying that my child did this, but it was because they were being bullied and they told a kid to stop, congratulations. Sorry. It's now your fault.
Take a breather.
I hate getting maybe worked up over it, but truthfully, it needs to come to an end. Bullying is always going to be out there, but the only way we can maybe truly stop it is by finding the right ways to combat it. But when a bully is bullying, and then the other person that is bullied had enough of it and confronts you about it and puts you in your place, you basically deserve it. You had your chance to stop, but then now they took it to the appropriate level because you still wouldn't listen, even after hopefully they took their necessary steps though.
Right.
Where they did talk to the teacher or they did ask you to stop a couple times. If they put you in your place right away, you may have still deserved it. But I would hope they still I still want to preach that they should take the necessary steps first before they actually make it a physical thing. Because who knows what you're going to do. But that being said, resources are always out there. Use those resources before you decide to take it by your own hands.
Agreed.
Because if you're being bullied or you're the victim, and something, all of a sudden the bully goes and does the thing you should have done in the first place, you're going to be you're the one in retaliation now, so you're going to take a lot of the blame. So, now, as I take a breather, what happens if we don't, or if bullying is left unchecked? What are some big concerns? Jared, what's a concern you have if your child does get bullied and it never gets addressed?
Well, if they're being bullied and it doesn't get addressed, they don't go to the resources, they don't talk to anybody about it, and it's eating them alive inside, the worst case scenario, I guess, would be suicide. I hate saying it, I hate going there, but it's the truth and it happens. If a child does not verbally talk to people about their problems and they keep it inside, their brain starts to do ways to get out of it, and then and it's not a laughing matter or anything. It is very serious. Imagine being a parent and having that happen. I don't know where I would go if that were to happen to me. I don't know what I would do, because otherwise, you have, I don't know, was Columbine, was that a bullying situation? The shootings?
I don't remember.
Well, there are school shootings
remember.
where they are the bullied kids who do the shootings. I mean, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
The victim or so. I agree. I don't remember I can't say if the Columbine was necessarily in relation to some sort of bullying.
About that.
Or
yeah.
There's always going to be conspiracies or theories out there, but I don't necessarily want to say it's always going to turn out to be in relations to bullying. Sorry, but it's no joke. Suicide. If you are a parent And now, granted, suicide and shootings are like an extreme thing, but guys, don't
It's not
out
not
those.
it's not impossible.
It can happen.
It's not.
It's not impossible. There have definitely been a lot of school shootings ever since the Columbine. May not always be national news, but it's going to be out there. It could be local news. I've heard of plenty of shootings locally. But these are, shootings are a huge thing, where somehow the kid gets a hold of a gun from their parents. And it's because they're a victim, or they feel like they're a victim, and they take an unhealthy outlet. Guys, again, with the unhealthy outlets, suicide. And another quote that I've learned from a time where I felt really down. And it's not the decisions you make today will affect the quality of your life tomorrow. Suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Yes.
Okay? Bullying can be a temporary problem. You just have to take the means or the steps to put an end to it. And get to a cleaner resolution. Or resolution. Rather than taking your own life. Or taking multiple lives. Because you feel like that's the better outlet. And I would be afraid too if my child, because I think what I would be really afraid about, guys, on all honesty here, I'd be more afraid if I saw my child down and didn't want to talk to me, even after I tried to ask him what's wrong. Like, they decided to stay shut down. I would be afraid. Because I don't know what they're going to do. And I think I'd feel honestly, I'd probably even feel worse if I never even tried to address it. Like, if I saw them come home one day just down, or saw them come home every single day for an entire week and they were just down, and I never addressed it, I'd feel like a shit parent if I found out that my child decided to commit suicide.
If that's happening and you're not addressing it, I really would question your parenting abilities and your want to be a parent, honestly. Because you really should be invested and focused on your child's well-being as well as their state of mind.
Yes.
Almost 24/7.
Yeah. Heck, I get nervous that sometimes when I see my children or look at my children and walk in and say goodnight to them, I sometimes get nervous if they're still breathing. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I'm like, he doesn't look like he's breathing. My daughter doesn't look like she's breathing, but she's breathing.
I don't know. I'll still get it with both.
Nope.
Like last night, we got a weighted blanket for the first time, right? And Natalie and the girls are sick.
Okay.
So I decided to sleep in. Decided to sleep in on the couch, and I was nervous, thinking that the weighted blanket would be on their face, and that I couldn't sleep because I didn't want them to suffocate. So
that's
it's
fair.
heavy
That's very
too.
fair.
Ridiculous, but let's kind of transition to some lighter stuff. And bullying doesn't have to be super serious either. It can be something as stupid as, like Justin's baby face. What the hell was that about? You're making fun of somebody else's transition to puberty? Come on now.
Or while you're going through puberty yourself.
Right.
It's pathetic.
Yeah.
It's even minor things. It does. That's the thing. Honestly, those small things though can lead to the extreme in the end. But guys, in all seriousness, let's go to a lighter note on this. Handle it. Don't brush it under the rug, because the sooner you handle it, the faster you can get through it, or the faster you can address and get the help that is required. both for the victim and both for the antagonist. So please, guys, do what you need to do. Take the necessary steps. Make sure let's just get the attention out there. Make sure that you are even making sure you're aware of it. Or if you see something that looks like it, maybe get somebody involved that can try to help put a stop to it before it does go and get worse.
Just pay attention to pay attention to your kids' emotions, moods. Talk to them about bullying. Explain these resources. Explain these negative outcomes that come from being a bully and bullied. It just, you don't want your kid. Unfortunately, Justin's eldest, was a little bit of a bully to this other kid, and I'm sure I'm sure you've talked to him about this, and he's been grounded. Yeah. But even if it's something proactive, like let's say Eleanor came home from school and it's like first grade, second grade, or whatever. You're making sure you're being nice to your friends, right? You're not making them feel bad. You're making them feel good, or at least trying to, right? Just make sure that they're aware of other people's feelings, and try to instill empathy into their everyday mind.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said. It's almost kind of like that golden rule.
I learned that in first grade, and I will never forget it. Yep.
That's why it's a golden rule. It's a rule you learn right there and then. But, guys,
nope.
Don't dismiss it. If you think it's happening, don't brush it off, please. Lighter side, let's go. I've got some pretty interesting jokes here tonight. Hopefully they're not, I don't think they're too dark. I've did some research. I've seen darker ones. But let's take a look. I think they're still going to hit like the funny bone a little bit here, hopefully. Especially for Jared, since they're pretty shitty dad jokes, or jokes in a sense. Height bullying is no joke. Seriously, guys, we need to stop looking down on short people.
Short people know they're short. That can be funny.
After years of getting yelled at and doing his work, I finally stood up to my bully.
Hey,
he fired me.
Hey, that's actually good advice. Don't let your bosses bully you and push you around.
It is good advice.
Stand up for yourself.
Well, don't let somebody else like at school, because it doesn't have to necessarily be a boss. But this one is more in relation to a boss. So, here's another. I think this is a good one. Still, what do you call a bully who rules the playground with an iron fist?
What?
A dictator tot.
Wow, okay, that was... Oh, well, okay, alright. Yep. The potato thing got in my head, and then it was like...
Yep. Yeah, I kind of figured that would happen, but that's okay. It's a dictator tot. Actually, I think I used to call somebody that too. I'm like, stop being a dictator tot. I was bullying and kicking this pregnant lady for quite some time. It was so awkward when she birthed me.
Yeah, see, it started out dark, but it turned out, not bad.
You saw the tunnel. You saw the light at the end of the tunnel, in a way. It's not the death tunnel, guys. It's the, it clicked tunnel. Yes, it was a little dark, but hey. Alright. So, with that being said, hopefully you guys get some amusement out of those jokes. Again, I think these are some of the more mild bully jokes. There are definitely some darker ones out there, some more inappropriate ones.
Thank you.
Not going to share those here because the comfortability there is not necessarily that, but they're also maybe a little more provocative, needless to say. So, hopefully, guys, again, you take it seriously. Don't forget. Address it, report it, whatever you have to do. Put a stop to it. Because I don't want it to happen to you. I don't want you to necessarily deal with it. But I want to maybe help you if you have to deal with it. That's what Jared and I are here for as well. Trying to provide tips or our opinions on how we would handle the situation, again, if it ever happens. Not like we're asking for it to happen, but we want to make sure you're somewhat prepared, or you are aware that it can happen to anybody. So, again, take the necessary steps, guys. Jared, as always, thank you for being a constant co-host. And hey, we'll have a brighter episode next time.
See ya.
Bye.